Good morning, everyone. This is Let's Talk Real Life with Nada Manning, greatest late night talk show that is going on right now in Eastern North Carolina. Thank you for joining us. You can find us on our app if you download it at the Google Play Store. You can also get one at the App Store if you have an Apple product. And you will be sitting there saying, Alexa, please play Awesome Radio. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us this evening. We'd like for you to listen to the station 24 hours, 7 days a week, if you would, at www.wbisawesomeradio.org. If you go to the website, find a media player floating around and hit the play button, you can listen to us anytime, 24/7. So tonight we have a very, very interesting topic. And if you want to participate, we'd love for you to participate. You can actually call in at 252-756-2008. You can participate on Facebook or make comments as we have the live show. So thank you once again. Right now, it is my pleasure to introduce no one other than the host of the show, Miss Nada Manning. How are you? How are you?
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. It's um, it's a pleasure, as always. I am doing well. I hope you all are. And I would say good morning to all of you precious ones out there, all over the land. Good morning. It is springtime here in North Carolina. The weather has been pleasant to what one might call a little bit warm or maybe a little bit moist. Who knows? But uh, it's still good to be here. It's good to be able to talk to you tonight, this morning, as I introduce a new topic um, about waiting. Waiting, waiting.
Waiting, that's hard to do sometimes. How you gonna make it easy for all of us?
Yeah. Some of us make it rather difficult to wait. We have to admit, we talking real life here. We talking real life. We on a real life talk show, and we all know that waiting can be humdinger. And it depends on the person and it depends on what you're waiting for
Mm.
that will make a difference in our lives and in our livelihood. So I want to start by saying yes, waiting is a challenge for many of us, and we just have to stick with it. We have to stick with it, folks, because waiting is part of life. Every one of us experience some type of waiting at some point in our lives. Some of us probably every day, waiting for something
Mm.
every day. And there's no age on that waiting. You have children waiting to get on the school bus. Sometimes the school bus is late. Sometimes the school bus might be on time and we're late. So we miss the school bus. Waiting. That's the elementary. Going on up to the high, all of the high schoolers, all school age folks. This waiting can be something else in our lives. And what we have to do, folks, is remember because it's a part of our life, we have to learn to adjust. Now, of course, it's easier said than done, but we have to adjust. Waiting is part of surviving. So the main topic here is problem with waiting, or is it a problem? Is it a problem to wait? I say it depends. It depends whether it's a problem or not. Many times we make it a problem. We're talking live here, real life. Sometimes we make it a problem to wait. It can be an obstacle or an opportunity. An obstacle or an opportunity. Waiting comes in many forms. As I said a few minutes ago, we wait for the school bus. We wait to get a job interview. We wait to even get a job. We wait in traffic. We wait to get a telephone call. All kinds of stuff. feel free to call in at 252-756-2008. Express your concerns and ideas and thoughts about waiting. 252-756-2008. What's your thought? What's your gut telling you about waiting? Why is it a problem for some of us to wait? Why is it such a task? Why is it easier as life can be for some? Some people don't mind waiting. Some people have a knack of waiting. Some people have the patience to wait. Some of us don't have so much patience. But that's what the Lord wants us to do as we're talking here tonight on Awesome Radio, 106.9 FM, a very widespread of information through this radio station. And one of them is being knowledgeable of how God can work in our lives. And working in our lives definitely take Him. Well, in all things, it takes Him anyway. But this waiting, it definitely takes Him to give us the patience to wait for certain things. Now, how do you survive this waiting? And I say game loosely. It's not really a game because it's serious stuff. But this waiting game, how do you survive it? How do you go about saying, or if you say, do you talk to the Lord when you're waiting? Give you an example. As I've said to you many times before about myself, I have learned over the years and more here lately. Lord, you know all about it. I'm waiting for such and such. Let's see, what could I be waiting for? I could be waiting for a special phone call that I've been waiting for say 2 or 3 hours, and they said they were going to call me right back. It's a very important phone call. Something can be that simple, and it can be something that's not so simple that you're waiting for. What do you do while you're waiting to keep your sanity? Because let's face it, folks, some of this waiting can drive some of us, a little bit crazy because we don't understand, number one, why is it taking so long? What is the problem? Why do we have to continue to wait day after day after day? I give you another example, personal example. My internet provider, it's a waiting process. What has been at least 2 months. I would say at least 8 weeks with getting it straightened out about all of these calls that we all are getting. I'm believing we all are getting them probably all over the world, at least in the United States anyway. These phone calls, these telemarketers calling us. Many of them calling us, you hang up on them, they call right back. So the problem that I've been having is there are times when my phone will ring and my name is on the phone as if I'm calling myself. And I said to myself, now, why is my name showing up instead of the person that's calling me? I don't know if it's something that's going on in the system or what's going on, but patience. It's been, like I said, about 8 weeks. I've been back and forth with this provider. Miss Manning, we're going to get it straightened out for you. We're going to get it straightened out. And I'm like, these phone calls are dry. So I got to the point where I don't answer the phone if I don't see a name. User ID is supposed to be used on your telephone. So therefore, if you're going to get a phone call, then somebody on the other end, their name or number is supposed to show up, not your own name, as if you're calling yourself.
Did you answer? If you answered yourself before, who was on the other end when you answered?
Most of the time they don't say anything, and sometimes they do, and it's a telemarketer. Mm-hmm. And now I'm telling you what my real response is, because we're talking real life here. I'm not covering up. Sometimes if they call and they don't say anything, I say to them, I say, you must don't have nothing else to do with your time but to call my phone and say nothing. Really? You don't have anything else to do? How about not calling my number? If you're not going to talk to me, stop calling my phone. And that's just the way I sound to them, because it gets annoying. Then they'll hang up. And then I'll block the number after everybody. I done hung up, they hung up, and I just click the button, and now the number is blocked. So that's what I do from time to time. I don't do that all the time. But we talking real life here, and no matter how righteous and religious and Christ-like we try to be, we have to remember, folks, we are still human and we still have feelings. We still have feelings. And some people rub us the wrong way. I don't know who that is on the other phone, but they call every day, 2 or 3 times a day, and say nothing. Really? So I say to them, God bless you anyway. I'd appreciate if you don't call my number again. I'll say that sometime too. But anyway, that's just one of the things that come up, talking about waiting for the provider to fix the problem versus my problem. No, Miss Manning, it's your phone. No, it's not my phone. My phone is only 6 months old. What else you got? It's not my phone. So they do all of this to keep the responsibility off them. So it requires some patience. It requires, now, is that a problem? Yeah, it's a problem for me. So I say that to say, yes, waiting can be a problem. It depends on what it is. That right there is a problem.
If you look at what we're waiting on, sometimes the formula is established by the system. And I find it so interesting that psychologically we are making an adjustment. Say, for instance, there's a particular restaurant that you're used to being served in a certain amount of time. So when they don't serve you in that 3 minutes, then you feel like you are overwaiting. But I grew up in a setting where you don't rush people that's making your food.
Uh,
It'll be ready when it's ready. And so I think how we, as interesting that you have the show tonight, because I'll be listening hard, but I think waiting is relevant to the provider and what they expect us to, the expectations they set for themselves. And even if it's 4 minutes, I'm like, man, am I waiting too long? So psychologically, 4 minutes, 5 minutes is not too long to wait for food. Um, but so our patience that's running out is when I can wait an hour for food, I'll be running out of patience in 5 minutes when I know I'm only supposed to be waiting the average 3 to 4 minutes. So that's the patience there that probably I think we have to adjust. And what you're talking about there is the companies trying to blame somebody for the issues where the telemarketers are using. Now, I used to work in a telemarketing room. It is not a person calling you; it is a computer calling you, and that person looks down at the computer and see that your phone has been connected, and I guess they are listening to you. Like, she ain't trying to talk to us.
mm-hmm,
We just gonna listen to her for a moment.
mm-hmm,
Or the computer's calling you and they're not picking the call up, and it's just
mm-hmm,
silence when you answer.
mm-hmm.
So whether you said anything or not, you might not be talking to a real person, but I understand you get a chance to vent, right?
Right, exactly. And then I say, yeah. But you're yeah, back to the restaurant. Not only I think that you should not rush them when they're fixing your food, because if you do rush them and get an attitude, they can get an attitude right back at you, and you the one supposed to be eating the food.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to look at that in more ways than one. And then again, on a third aspect of that, sometimes if you're in good company, you don't mind sitting there waiting because you can talk.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's probably more annoying when you're by yourself. But then again, they have cell phones now where you can entertain yourself while you're waiting or talk on the phone, text or whatever on the phone. So it's more than one side to that waiting in the restaurant. Um, Another waiting that I experienced just this week was traffic. Now, whoever thought traffic would be a problem? Well, you all from North Carolina know how North Carolina traffic is. This traffic is no traffic compared to other places in the country. So anyway, I was driving along and we were held up. I could not see because It was two log trucks. I guess I'm saying this right. The trucks, the big trucks with all these great big tall long logs that they had cut down trees. So therefore, the view. We have a comment. Waiting is patient sometimes. Patiently waiting is inexplainable and can be that way because it has many reasons. Yes, there are several reasons, and I plan to get into that. That's why I say it depends on what you're waiting on, um, as to how much patience we're going to have. But getting back to the example with the truck, now going back to being patient. Now, the best thing for me to have done, what I should have done, was made myself content while I sit in the car, the air conditioner running. Okay. But I think what bothered me more than anything, I could not see. It was the unknown that was bothering me. What is holding up the traffic? It's a 2-lane highway. All the cars going in the opposite direction with no problem. The lane that I'm in is the one that's backed up. So I thought maybe it was an accident. Anyway, long story short, I waited, I guess, a good 20 minutes maybe. Felt like an hour, but I think it was probably about 20 minutes. Come to find out, after sitting there all that time, it was some type of construction going on up there when they have one sign that says stop, and then they'll turn the other sign around for the other side to go. Well, my side was on stop for about 20 minutes. Okay. Well, Miss Manning just barely, soon as I said, you know what, unbuckle my seatbelt, put one foot outside the car door, because I'm ready to see. I couldn't see around the truck. I couldn't see anything. So I said, let me step out, put one foot out there. And sure enough, as soon as I did that, that's when the traffic started moving. After 20 minutes now, I said, okay, Lord, I don't know what that message was, but evidently maybe I shouldn't have put my foot out the door, or maybe I should have been a little bit more patient. I don't know. But my point, folks, is there's a lesson to learn behind every delay. And things get delayed for many reasons. We never know what the delay is. Sometimes we'll find out, sometimes we don't. But the point is there a problem with waiting or not? Is there a problem with waiting or not? Because it can be really, some people might say, nerve-wracking. We have waiting going on with this COVID season that we've been having for the past over 2 years. We have waiting going on with people that are incarcerated. Some of them been waiting for 6 months. Some of them been waiting for 6 weeks. Some of them been waiting for 6 years. Some of them been waiting longer than that. Some of them probably won't get out. That is some serious waiting right there.
It is.
Is that a problem? Probably a problem for the incarcerated person, for the prisoner. It's a problem. But again, it goes back to what was the reason behind it. There's a reason for everything. I already mentioned the job interviews. What else, folks? Talk to me. What else can we wait for? Pregnancies. Some women want to be pregnant and waiting to get pregnant and don't get pregnant. So they wait and they wait and they wait. And then there are some women, they want to be pregnant, they get pregnant. That's just one form of waiting. So then, okay, pregnant person, now you have to wait 9 months, 8 months, 7 months, 6 months. So it's a waiting process. Life is waiting. Waiting for whatever comes along. Then you have a more personal thing. You're waiting for that special person to come in your life. You're waiting for that significant other to come in your life or leave your life. You're waiting. Waiting. We're talking real life here. My name is Nada Manning. I'm your host on Let's Talk Real Life. I'd love to hear from some more folks to chime in, to voice your opinion about this waiting process. How difficult has it been for you in your life? What are you willing to share to help someone else? Because others are listening and we want to express the good, the bad, and the ugly Nobody's perfect. So you have a problem waiting for XYZ. Okay. So tell us how you're handling it. Are you doing well with handling it? I didn't do well with waiting for that traffic because I should have kept my foot in the car.
I know you was about to get out.
Right.
I ain't never seen nobody get. I understand the analogy
Curious.
of
Yeah, they're
having
curious. Yeah, curious. I was just curious. What's going on? I didn't see no smoke, no sirens coming, no police cars, nothing. So anyway, I just want to express the importance of knowing how to handle some of this waiting that we have to do, and we're going to wait. We can't get around it. You're going to wait for something. Sooner or later, you're waiting for something. So what are you waiting for now, folks? Coach, what are you waiting for?
Well, here's my take on waiting. The baseline that I try to put in waiting now is this. It's a season thing. It's a journey thing for me right now. Life is a journey thing more than it has ever been before. So the waiting might be uncomfortable, waiting for projects to mature, opportunities that I'm interested in, and things that I'm actually doing. The waiting for me is okay. The My concern is that the waiting may not be okay for everything else around me, for everybody else around me, other people that are looking at me for relying upon me for certain things. Or in fact, I may have included them in plans. So that's the part that gets me. But waiting for me right now, I'm not waiting for promotion. I'm not waiting for any type of definitely not waiting for a pregnancy. For children other than my grandson, or granddaughter. I tell my son he got to go ahead and get that worked out. But I could only be supportive of him because I don't know what in the world it would take to get him in the right frame of mind that, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and make pop some grandchildren. So that is one thing I'm waiting for, but I know that I wouldn't want it to happen if it wasn't timing, if it wasn't a season, if it wasn't a godly situation, because he gonna need every aspect of love of God to raise a child. But other than that, I think my waiting, I'm probably as patient as I have ever been in my life. The frustration is when I'm waiting with other people too, and other people need, and they have their needs that need to be met, or changes need to happen before they get what they need. And I'm somewhere close by, and they are a nervous wreck. They are tore up. They don't understand why it's not coming, why God is not moving. So I'm empathetic when I'm around other people that need stuff and they have to wait. It kind of gets me too.
And to say uh, a little something about that, you and others, there are many others like yourself. Um, you have the patience, so to speak, the patience of Job when it comes to you and what you want. But sometimes we spread ourselves too thin when we're trying to do for others. Sometimes, uh, Rome wasn't built in a day. And there are many times when, like you said, people want things by a certain time. And there are times when they can't get it. So they get upset and bent out of shape. But sometimes when we offer to help others, we want to do the right thing. We want to please people, but we have to realize we are only one person and we can only do so much. So, yes, that person might get bent out of shape and it becomes a problem for them waiting and waiting and waiting. And sometimes they don't hear back from the folks that's supposed to be doing something for them. So they become impatient. Well, like I said earlier, there's a reason for the wait. There's a reason for the wait. Sometimes in looking and waiting, because I mean, let's face it, there are many of us who depend on um, people of specialties like um, plumbing,
Oh,
um, something that something that is that detrimental.
mm,
Plumbing might be a water main break or something like that. That's really really important. So you call two or three people to come do it, and you don't hear from anybody, so you get frustrated. Meanwhile, the water is building up, and it's okay, Lord, what's going to happen here? These things I believe with all my heart. The Lord is in control of everything. We all know this. Sometimes He'll allow things to happen just to see where we're going to stand with it. He sometimes allow it to happen to test us to see if we are going to be as patient as we should be. Well, I failed that the other day in traffic. Okay, I failed it because I shouldn't have stepped out. I didn't say anything to anybody, but I should have stayed in the car, and I did not do that. So I'm saying this, folks. We're live. We're talking real life stuff here. We're not making up anything. Stuff happens. Sometimes we get it right. Sometimes we don't get it right. Sometimes we mess up. Sometimes we don't mess up. But we must remember that those things happen. Critical things, like I said, water, plumbing, and let's see, what else could it be? I don't know, maybe your grass need to be cut or something. It's so tall, it's coming up to your knees, and you can't even walk out your door because the grass is so tall. Because you're waiting for your lawn guy to come, and his lawnmower broke. And who do you have for Plan B? Sometimes we don't have a Plan B because we always depended on this one. So that tells us right there that we should always have a Plan B when we got something going on, especially when it's something that critical. Anything pertaining to the house is critical. Electricity, anything could happen. So we have to be mindful of these problems and know that waiting, you can make a phone call when the power go out. That's another one. What are we going to do? The power is out. What you going to do? You're going to get on, you can't, well, you could get on your cell phone and call and fuss and report it. And that's about all you can do. But we wait. We have to wait.
how about when we get a reality check, when gratefulness takes the place of impatience, especially in a case like you're it makes you feel like you're not appreciative sometimes of what you have and what you have done. When you lose something, you lose one thing, and you decide that it's almost like the world has come to an end. But once you look at the big picture, you're like, oh, okay, that's nothing compared to the big struggle. That's nothing compared to it could have been worse. My electricity went off, let's say, on behalf of the utilities company, rather than the fact that you couldn't pay it.
Right.
Uh, and let's face it, most of us, we live in a lifestyle that if we didn't have one of our amenities, we'd still be all right. We'd probably
Right.
be all right without 5 or 6 of our amenities. So it's just like we want our services connected. We have a right to them. We're used to them. But the bottom line, I remember one year when I went into the hospital, and I had never been in the hospital before. I had a blood clot that went to my kidney. I was doing a lot of mediation, sitting down a lot, 2, 3, 4 hours at a time. Blood clot formed in my leg. Finally made it to my kidney. Man, there wasn't nothing important other than, living. I wasn't worried about no bills. I had my little Aflac insurance. They were paying me little daily rates, supplemental insurance. I had of course, I had my health insurance as well. But the importance of things change. And my anxiety while I'm laying up in the I think and don't guys don't if you're listening don't I'm not making light of this, but I stayed in the hospital just 7 days. I thought that was a long time, but obviously as I got older, I know people they don't come out of there in those 7 days. 7 days, what is 7 days? You know what I'm saying? To a lot of people to have a major, they had a minor operation, a little tube when you experience certain things, I'm saying it changes the tolerance for the waiting to non-existent. I won't worry about nothing because that wasn't the important thing at the time.
Right. And when you're in such a position, many times it takes something like that to be a wake up call for some of us to realize what's really important. What is really important?
Mm-hmm.
So the Lord lay us flat on our back.
Uh-oh, come
Since
on.
we don't get it, the Lord say, okay, you haven't got the message yet. Let me let this happen to you. See how you're going to come out of this one. So he allow us to have certain incidences to come in our lives as a wake-up call. Yours was flat on your back. I don't know if you knew how detrimental that blood clot was at the time you went in there, but it appears, like you said, over the years you became very knowledgeable and aware of, hey, I could have died from that thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, same thing with heart attacks, same thing with any type of ailment, same thing with diseases that like cancer or diabetes, where people survive that kind of stuff. We do develop after a period of time. We do develop in our mind to say, you know what? Why am I worried about this? That is not important. It is what it is. That's me. I have grown to say that. I have T-shirts that say that. It is what it is. And when people see that T-shirt, many times they'll ask me, "Excuse me, you don't let anything bother you?" I said, "No, I'm not going to say that. It depends on what it is, but I don't let anything. Let's put it this way: I don't let as much bother me anymore these days. That's why I wear this T-shirt because it is what it is. You can't change things, so you pray about it and keep it moving. So, folks, I hope that you are getting that message right there. It is what it is. You hear it all the time, more and more. And that's because there are certain things that we really can't do anything about. This in the Lord's hand. You turn it over to Him and say, Lord, you got this. Just give me peace about it, whatever it is. Whatever it is. We have to learn to do that. And a lot of us find it difficult to do that because we want to fix it. We want to fix it. We feel like we can do something about it. And sometimes we can. It depends on what it is. Sometimes we can do something and make a difference. And some people realize that they can do that. And some people realize it and don't do it. Still don't do nothing. So what do you say to them? Waiting for them to do something? No. Move on. Lord, show me somebody else. In other words, these things keep happening to us also, folks, for us to continue to call on the Lord anyway.
Amen.
He wants us to call on Him for everything if possible because He's in control of everything. Why? Because He's in control of everything. So that's why He said, come to Him. We should do that. And the more trouble we go through, the more He's telling us, you're not coming to me like I'm asking you to do. That's why you keep going through what you're going through. That's why you got to keep waiting. And that's why it becomes a problem for some of us because we haven't gotten it yet. It haven't registered in our brain yet. Oh, is that what he? Oh, yeah. Yeah, you think? And we have to bring it out. Some of us, that's why I say all the time, we are our brother's keeper because we as a people we should and we must help someone else along to realize what I just said. Some folks just don't get it. Sometimes it takes a person to be right here, face to face, saying, you know what happened when you went to so and such a thing? Why do you think that happened? And then we give our idea and our perspective of why we think it, and they hadn't even thought about it like that. You
Mm-hmm.
know what? You are so right. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I didn't think of it like that because
Mm-hmm.
we all don't think the same. God didn't make us all the same. That's why we are our brother's keeper.
I
We're
think it's
live on the air. I'm
I
your
think
host,
it's
Nada Manning, and I am here to listen to you to call in at 252-756-2008. We're live on the air with Awesome Radio 106.9. Let's Talk Real Life show.
I
We're
think
talking.
it matters with how we are branding the whole thing, and like you said, the perception of God he wants you to see it through him. Let's stick with the fast food scenario that we were talking about. They have set the bar for themselves. If they're not serving us in a certain amount of time, they're disappointed as well because they want to get food out. The other perspective that I think that if we could see it in a godly way, we don't know what that person that's assembling the food. See, a lot of places aren't really cooking anything. They're putting together it might well be putting together a lunch bag for us because they're not cooking the food. They're not designing a meal just for us. They are feeding the masses. So it's almost like we're going through a battle in the military, and we decide to pull off to a some barracks or some station and go through the line and get some MREs, meals ready to eat or something. They're just putting food together to give us out of a window at a certain time. I don't think nobody's cooking for you, especially. Now you might be paying $7, $8, $9 a plate now and $10 a plate for a meal, but I still don't think they're in there preparing food. Hey, we're going to have the best meal for everybody that comes through this line. False expectations for a service that you're expecting to get, and they're not even in that, like you were just saying, they're not even in that frame of mind of
Right,
making you a nice meal. They're putting it in a bag, and you probably got more customer service from the lunch lady back in the lunchroom days when we were kids going through and they took that spoon and put the
right,
green beans on the plate and put the
right,
hamburger and gravy. They probably were better at customer service back in them days than some of the younger people preparing meals. So I don't even have that expectation that I'm going to get all of my food, nor do I have expectations it's going to be hot, nor do I have expectations that it's going to be cheap anymore.
right. Exactly. And you said a mouthful,
I
and
did.
that is so true. The expectations can, like I said earlier in the beginning of the show, uh, it can we can make it a problem. This waiting, we can make it a problem, and however we whatever it is we are going through. Your example that you just gave just now, uh, making it a problem. And yeah, you're right. Back in the day, it's a whole different story than it was back in the day. But we still here, so we make do with what we have here. Keep praying and trusting God that He's going to make things better. And while we're praying and trusting Him, we keep talking to Him and leaning on Him, whatever it is that we're facing, because we have to realize we can't do it all. We cannot, and we get tired.
Mm,
What is that old saying? I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired.
mm.
So we get tired and we get frustrated. We get hot headed and we lose our patience and lose our mind sometimes.
Oh
Hello,
yeah, yeah.
hello. We sometimes some people actually lose their mind when things are going south so much, one thing after another. This gets straight, that gets straight, then this go happen, then this one thing after another, and they're like, you know what? I'm tired. I'm tired of dealing with it. I don't want to face it anymore. Then it becomes a problem. That waiting has become a problem for that individual because they can't stand it no more. that individual definitely needs someone in his or her corner to help them out of that slump that they're in. And many of us get in a slump like that. Let's face it. We're talking real life here. We get in a slump. All this waiting and waiting. Everything is wait. Why can't I just go on and do what I'm going to do and then get on out of the way? You can't do that all the time.
Now, I want to say this about waiting, though, as a coach, from a coach's perspective. That waiting time got to be utilized in certain situations. And if I'm coaching and I got somebody on the bench that's waiting, that person should be training. That person should be getting ready. So when I call on you, when God calls on us or he finally opens the door, I think we should be ready as much as possible. We should have done our remedial training.
Mm-hmm.
We should have done the basics. We should have had time to study, to prepare, to come out looking our very best when we get called upon or when the door opens. So I do think the responsibility not to sit down and suck our thumbs and sulk and lip poke out the whole complete time.
And attitudes develop.
Yeah, and attitudes the whole complete time, because that is a time that is so effective. That was your extra time to go above and beyond, to read an extra chapter, to learn to perfect a technique, to set yourself apart so that when the door opens, you were ready.
Right.
I got one teeny weeny little story. There was a guy in the corporate world. Let me just shorten it all the way down. He had applicants come to his office for a job interview. And the job interview was, I think, was a stock exchange, New York Stock Exchange. True story here. And several applicants showed up, sat in the office, waited, till it got about half the day. And obviously, half of them were gone. Waited. Most of the day, most of them were gone. Waited. All of the day, it was only two of them left. You see, so and now the rest of the story. The CEO comes out and says, "Okay, I need you guys. Let's get ready to go to work." So they were getting paid the whole time. They were sitting there in the lobby. They had the job. Those who endured and stayed focused during that time of waiting, those who had other things in life, the cares of the world, they had to go. They couldn't stay, or they didn't have the patience that the CEO was looking for. But the last two people stayed the whole day with no information on what they were waiting for
Right.
and why they were just sitting there in the lobby waiting. And that
Persevere.
man looking at the camera the whole time.
Right. And that's where I was talking about obstacle or opportunity. Those guys that left found that waiting to be an obstacle. It was in their way. They had something else to do. The two that stayed behind, it was an opportunity for them. They were in the same waiting room, but they saw an opportunity and they took advantage of it. And opportunities take time. Obstacles come and go. Sometimes obstacles stay if you don't do something about it. But those guys that left, yeah, that waiting became an obstacle for them. It was in their way, and they did no, we don't have time for this. It's time for me to go. I got something else I can be doing. How many of us say that in our lifetime? All this waiting, this waiting is that no. But see, waiting is sometimes very good for us. Most of the time. I won't say all the time because it depends on what you're waiting for. But many times that waiting process is the best thing to do. Why? Because like you said, during the waiting process, what I should have been doing in that car instead of putting my foot out the door was picking up a devotional and reading and giving myself some patience. That's what I should have been doing. But no, Miss Manning wanted to step out and see what's going on. Like she can do something about it. And once she got out there and saw it, okay, now that I've seen it, now what? Get back in the car and sit down and wait. I'm the first one to say that's what I should have done. So I'm saying all that, folks. We're talking about the first topic here of obstacle versus opportunity. And we're live on the air. And we're talking real life stuff here about waiting. Waiting and waiting. It's a good thing to wait. The older we get, I think, personally, I think the older we get, the more patience we get. Some people say, no, the older I get, the more impatient I get. Because I'm not, well, that's not, you're supposed to be more settled minded as you get older. You already been through the ranks and did this and that and the other. You already rushed for 50, 60 years. It's time to get somewhere and sit down now and be still and wait. Hello? Anyway.
Somewhere to sit down there. I think as I have gotten older, I can wait a little longer. As I've gotten older, there are times where I should be more what you call that? Assertive in with time. I guarantee you there are times that I do things in my own way and I take all the time in the world because I have rushed, and I have hurry up and wait kind of scenarios.
Yeah.
And but there are times that I should be more assertive and move a lot quicker and blah blah blah.
Well, folks, we are down to about 4 minutes left in the show, and 4 or 5 minutes. And as I expected, I will carry this through next week. This waiting process is not something that we should take lightly. This is something that is inevitable. It's life. And every person on earth, even babies, have to wait for their milk to get ready. And older people, from babies to seniors, 80, 90-year-olds, they sometimes have to wait to be waited on. And everybody in between, the baby and the 90-year-old, is waiting. So we wait. We choose what we wait for, and we're supposed to choose it wisely. Choose it with good common sense. And we ask ourselves, is this, whatever this is this worth waiting for? Is it worth waiting for? And you ask yourself and you pray to God and ask Him, Lord, is this worth waiting for? Should I be waiting for this or should I move on? Nothing done in good mindset with good results will end up being good without God being involved. You have to pray about things. You have to remember who's in charge. And it is not you. It's not me. So we have to remember that. God is in control. So He's the one that's looking for us to come to Him about everything. Because He will make the difference if we just trust Him with it. So Lord, I can just continue to say, as I say every week, for this opportunity. We got as far as obstacle or opportunity with this particular segment of waiting. Is it a problem? Problem with waiting? Or is it a problem? So as we move forward, next week we will continue with another segment of waiting. Today was obstacle or opportunity. You can make it either one. You can make an obstacle and opportunity. Father God, thank you for this time. We give you praise and honor as we continue to pray and trust you with all of our problems, with all of our concerns, with all of this waiting. We wait, Lord, to trust you with everything that we have, to know that you know what's best for all of us. We give you praise, we give you honor, we give you glory. And Miss Nada Manning, give you thanks for talking about this real life stuff about waiting. You said to wait on you. And that's what we try to do. And those of us who aren't doing it, we want to trust you continuously as we help someone else to trust you. Thank you, Lord. In the name of Jesus, I pray. We'll see everybody next week. Have a blessed week. God bless each and every one of you as we continue to wait. Have a great night, a great day today, and a great week ahead. Lord willing, I'll see you next week. We continue with waiting.